Hey, what up, team? It's Joe Mill back here with Killer Miller Q, and today, after being back home and getting a chance to only taste one piece of brisket, I had to do me a little something special for myself, and I want to play around with this foil boat again today. What we're gonna be doing is a little bit of that pork belly. We're gonna be doing it like a brisket. We're gonna be doing it Texas style pork belly, coming soon, over on a Lone Star. Let's go. Cut the music. Here we go. Good old-fashioned pork belly. We will not be using this whole thing. Focus on in there. We won't be using this whole thing. This is a decent sized one. This is an 8-pounder. I'll be packaging away a nice 2/3 of this, and be bringing that out, doing some different things with it. But when I did get this, I tried to find one that had a decent little bit of fat on there, not too much. One thing is they do a pretty good job at Costco, where I usually grab most of my meats at, and that's some of the reason why. So I don't got too much fat on there I got to worry about on that end. Sometimes that can be pretty thick, and I tried to find one that was a little bit more meaty, and try to find one that wasn't too thin. I mean, this is pork belly, so it is going to be thin. You know, this is nothing but bacon, but at the end of the day, we're going to make a little something special with this on this brisket style cook. So I wanted to get something that was a little bit thicker. When I cut this off, I'm probably, the way this feels, it kind of divots down here just a little bit. This seems to be the thicker area, so I'll probably cut there, and then that'll be the piece that we'll actually work with this end cut. Normally, a lot of times, it's the center cut that's going to be the nice thick area, but we're going to get this chopped up. I'll put this in the thirds, get rid of these two, vacuum seal them. We'll see something later on at a later date with these, but we're going to probably be working with this corner here. Give me one sec. All chopped up. Them two pieces are going to be put away. This one here, I really didn't do too much to. I took a little bit of silver skin off in a couple areas that was just glaring to clean it up a little bit, but I'm not too worried. On the back side, there's not much fat, so if there was a thicker layer, the only thing I was going to do was maybe score that. But other than that, only thing we're going to be doing is I'm going to be hitting this with a little bit of rub. I'm going to be using this Texas style rub here. It's just pretty simple. It's got 3 parts pepper, 1 part salt, a half a part of paprika, and a half a part of garlic powder. So I'll be using that on here with a little bit of a binder of some mustard, letting it hang out, and then I'll cook it like I pretty much do everything, fast side down over there in the old LSG Lone Star Smoker, baby. Let me get this rack cleaned off, and then we'll be back here in just a second. And then there was one. So that's what we got. Nothing crazy. I'm about to start off with a little bit of mustard that I'm going to get on both sides. And then, like I said, then I'm going to hit this rub on both sides. And I like to start on this meat side. I'll put some mustard, flip it over. I'll put some mustard. I'll season the fatty side, flip it over, season the fatty sides. Don't forget to get these corners. Isn't she lovely? Come on now. There it is. Nothing too crazy, man. It's early in the morning, having some fun before we get this day going. Got that Texas brisket rub on there. You don't need a ton of mustard, just enough to get sure you got that binder on there. I'm gonna let this hang out. We're gonna be getting this pit up to around 275-ish, and we're going right on top. I also got a little something I'm gonna show you too, a little trick. All right, so it's just about time to throw this on. I had thrown this back in the fridge for a little bit. It's got to marry itself now. Just kind of let it get up to temp as the pit's pretty much fired up. One thing I had thought about, if you've been following along, I just had put that Montreal steak seasoning on that brisket, and I almost thought about putting that on here, but this pork belly is bacon and it's already salty, so the last thing I wanted to do is put something on there with too much salt. So I went with my little Texas seasoning that I used to use on some brisket, which is heavy on the pepper, not too much on the salt, a little paprika and some garlic powder. But I did tell you I had a little trick for you. I won't necessarily be using it today, but normally this is a situation where I might have put this on a rack, because this is a pretty small piece. It makes it a little easier to kind of mess with it and rotate it. I learned to flip these babies upside down, and that way if I need to, when I'm rotating it in the pit, I pretty much be able to do it pretty easy like that. But I don't really care too much. I got my spatulas from my Blackstone. I love using these big spatulas. At the end of the day, I can get right up under this whole thing. Pretty much that's the whole surface area. It'll be able to hold it together pretty fine, but if not, I would use a rack right here and throw this on the rack upside down and get it on the pit. But pretty much this is about to go on there just like you see. We at 275, and then we'll get it burning. All right, night. Not a whole lot to be seen for a while, so I'll bring you back in about 3 hours. We probably get a rotate or something like that. Hey team, I want to jump in here real quick and let you know, if you are new to the channel, go to that bottom right corner, make sure that you subscribe, check out some of the other cooks that you've already missed, and then other than that, let me know some of the other things that you want to see. And for everybody that's been here, I always appreciate y'all. We're going to keep doing big things. If you haven't yet, find me on IG and Facebook, and let's get back to the work. Nothing like being back on my old Lone Star. Holding strong at 275-ish, no issues. I'm just about 2 hours in. We rolling along. I've been cooking with some pecan wood, some pecan. We see we getting a little bit of pulling from the last time we've been out of here on this side. So what I'm gonna end up doing is rotating this baby and putting this side towards the fire. But first off, I'm gonna give it a little quick spritz. It doesn't look too bad. I'm not gonna do too much, just so it doesn't dry out. I'm using a mixture. That looks great. Yes. I'm using a mixture of normally I might do beef broth on the on my brisket, along with a little bit of oil, maybe a little bit of water. Being that this is actually pork, even though we're doing it brisket style, I didn't want to use that. So I got a little bit of apple cider vinegar, added a little bit of oil to it to keep it moving like always, a little bit of water, and a little bit of chicken broth. So nothing too crazy. Literally, you could have just did a little bit of water, or could have left this thing as is. We want to get a good bark anyway. So I'm putting it right back in there just as you see. Other side towards the firebox, and we're going to let it go. I'll bring you back in another couple. 3 hours in, we adding in some wood, more pecan. And color-wise, I think I'm about decent. Bring that thing out here a little bit. Really, only thing matters is me having a color that I feel good about. But just so we can see, I got my handy dandy 30 Pro here. Just out of curiosity, where am I at? That's decent. Not surprising that I'm actually thinking about potentially wrapping. Normally, like I said again, it's all color and getting some smoke in the beginning. Normally for me on a brisket, I found, I remember I used to be scared, and I was probably pulling them babies at about 160 something, 165. Now, I ain't afraid, man. I let that thing get black. So usually it's probably gonna be around 185-ish almost by the time I finally take it out. This is looking pretty decent. I'm gonna give it a rotate, and I'm gonna let it sit for a little bit longer, maybe another half hour in here. And we're gonna start preparing this foil boat, as I do like that method from the last brisket we just made. So we're gonna do the same thing on this one here. All right, half hour later, this baby's ready to rock. Let's get this baby up off of here. We're going into the double foil for the foil boat method. We'll give it a light spritzing, and then we coming right back on. And there it is, all nice and purty. I'm gonna leave this little bit bigger side towards the firebox. That one was the one that didn't scrunch up quite as much. All I'm gonna do is mix this up a little bit. I'm gonna hit it a little bit more with my spritz. We got this in a little bit of foil boat. I got my temperature gauge in there, which already got me around 194-ish. So I don't expect this is gonna take too much longer. This bark is set up real nice, as you can see there. So that's gonna be there. And at this point, we're just gonna get this thing where it's so tender, it's pushing through real simple. Real easy, like a hot knife through butter with that probe. And then also to make sure that a little bit more of this fat will get to render. You know, we messing with nothing but a bunch of bacon basically, so there's plenty of fat in there. I'll get that nice and rendered down. We'll get us some good slices. Let's get a little spritz on, just so I got me a little moisture. More than enough. You're looking pretty. I'm gonna let this thing hang out. We'll check it in about another hour. All right, team. It is just about 5 hours. This baby should be probing like butter. Let's get rid of this.
Whew. Was just giving me an idea where my temp is at. It looks nice and pretty. I know I wasn't that far off, but let's see. There we go. So we can see where I'm at temperature wise. 203 in one area. Got a nice looking dry bark on there. Up to 210 over there. Ooh, real tender back there. Another little over 210-ish. Alright, that looks pretty decent. This baby's coming off. We'll let it rest and we get a taste. Alright, alright. Go ahead and focus back in on that thing. They need to see some of this bark. They need to see some of this good old-fashioned bark. And this is why we use a bark that is coarse, full of a whole lot of good old-fashioned pepper to get us what we got going on right now, right here. Nice and crisp. I tell you what, I done tasted a little bit of them kernels that done came out the bottom of that foil boat, as well as what was also on my spatula, and I'm loving the flavor that we got going on here. I'm about to let this hang out for a little bit. We're gonna break this down into some slices. I'm gonna give me a clean taste of this pork belly. I'll let you see what this thing looks like on the middle. All right, so we got that done. Roughly, it took us about 5 hours to get there. We had that over pecan wood. I did the full boat toast the back end, a little bit of spritz, nothing too crazy. Like I said, I thought about using that Montreal steak seasoning, but I really didn't want to take the chance and end up with it too salty. I like what I did, I think, with this Texas rub, which is pretty much going to be heavy on the pepper, a little bit of salt, a little paprika for color, and a little bit of garlic. With that said, other than to get him, shout out to my boys over at Black Smoke Barbecue and family like always. Let's get over here and we're gonna go ahead and cut this thing up. All right, I want to bring you in there so you can see what we look like. I'll go with some decent slices. This is rested for a little bit. Get out of here, fly. Need to try to sharpen this knife up a little bit, but it's giving me some clean cuts. Make a couple of them nice and fat. Wow, look at that smoke. Get out of there. Flies already instantly smell this bacon coming. Woo! Look at that. Nice and pretty, still juicy. I love just that little bit of fat there at the bottom, so we don't got to worry about too much of that. Wow, look at that smoke we got in on there. The only thing left to do is to taste it. All right, so I got my piece here. We looking good, nice and rendered. That rub is perfect on there. You'd be surprised how much black pepper give you a little bit of kick. This tastes perfect. Make sure you check out this weekend and check out, I'm gonna put a short up and I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do to actually how we're gonna eat this. But this is great. Definitely you should do this more. I got plenty of pork belly left. Might not be the last time we pull this off. I'll catch y'all next week. Thanks for following along. Peace.